Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral. Thanks for checking in. Today we're going to talk about some vintage paperbacks for the collectors out there. And I changed my chair a little bit because I wanted to put this really poorly organized bookshelf behind me, which is double stacked in places because I have too many vintage paperbacks and too many modern paperbacks. Such is the life of a book collector and reader. Today we're talking about 3 man-bait paperbacks that were published by Beacon Books in the 1960s. Some of you vintage collectors out there will be more than familiar with this material, but I occasionally like to go back and read them. The first one we're going to talk about is frankly the weakest of the 3, but it's immensely popular because of the cover artwork. I don't know who did the cover artwork at all whatsoever. This book is called Girl on the Beach by Max Day, and I will set that up here. I know that if I cover up Wonder Woman back there, some of you are probably disappointed if I do that. So I'll have the scan over here and Wonder Woman's over there, and here's the book. So I don't know who Max Day is either, by the way. But the cover is incredibly popular. Why is that? Well, you know, we're men. And that's life. So at conventions, when I used to go to the pulp conventions here and there, many dealers would love to get their hands on this book because of the cover artwork, because it's an instant sale. $20, $25 if you can get it cheaper. You can find this on eBay. I don't know what the prices are now. My copy's getting pretty old here. Anyways, this is a strange book. It is published by Beacon in 1960. It's about an artist named Shad Crispin, who's a painter. He finds this girl, appears on the beach, unclad. He is an expert in unclad artwork. My light just went off up above. I have a problem with that light above, and I haven't corrected it yet or replaced it. So I'm just going to leave it because it's not affecting anything here. So Shad Crispin is a painter. He specializes in nudes, and he loves the female form in a lot of ways. Man-bait paperbacks, I should explain for those of you new to the channel. I covered them before. Man-bait paperbacks are romance novels for men with the same action you're going to find in romance novels for women, just expressed differently sometimes. This book is about, so Shad, right, so he's a painter. The girl appears on the beach, unclad. He's going to paint, it's a mystery. This book is really a mystery. It's not very well done because I think the construction of the book is disjointed. The writing's okay. It's just that it doesn't fall together well. Multiple women involved in this, including the woman on the beach, the girl on the beach, who's a lovely lass. So this involves false identities. This involves lying and pretending you're someone else. It involves, there's some red herrings in here. There's some plot twists and things that are supposed to lead you to believe one thing, but they don't. They're just trickery on the part of the author. It really comes down to this. Spoiler alert for this, in case you ever get it and you want to read it. This is a mystery that really involves getting your hands on a lost Paul Cézanne painting that was lost after World War II. And it makes an appearance here in this book. This is what certain people, including women, are after. It's okay. It's not the greatest man-bait paperback I've ever read. It's frankly the least interesting because I think it goes back and forth to trying to set up a tricky plot device to fool you. But it all does make sense in the end. It's okay. Like I said, this is a moderate one. The best aspect of this book is the marvelous cover. I don't know who did this. Beacon Books put out a lot of fun man-bait paperbacks back in the day, and we're going to get into the next one right away. So that's Girl on the Beach, and then let's get into After Office Hours by Brian Black. This is 1964, After Office Hours. This is a very good book, very well written book, and it is a tale about Kathy, who is an independent-minded woman who likes men. She likes her romantic freedom with men, to do as she pleases with a man. The blurb on this was love and lust with hot-handed bosses. You've got to love the copy, the advertising copy on some of these old books because they were so funny. So this book, of course, 64, we're starting the 1960s sexual revolution is going on. Not that that matters, but, it found a ready audience. The Office Girl. So I have I have to read a quote from this. I'm not going to tell you where the quote appears in the book in case you find it. This book is easily found. There's plenty of copies out there for you collectors, and they're not very expensive. So here's a quote. She felt warm inside thinking of him. Maybe it was better to have independence because he wanted her to have it. It seemed a more feminine kind of freedom. And she would make him buy new clothes whether he wanted to or not. So, there you go. A few words are in order of the romantic descriptions here. These are semi-explicit. They're not pornographic to me. They're not as explicit as a lot of the stuff that you women are reading out there today, because I've read them, and I know that you're reading books that are far more explicit than they used to be. The Bodice Ripper entries that began, what was it, the 60s, 70s? I'm going to have to do look that up. There's a Wikipedia page about that. Not that Wikipedia is all that great, but you get the basic nucleus of the idea. These were before then, obviously, for men, and again, semi-explicit. You know certainly what's going on, but it's not as vulgar as a lot of pornography is vulgar, or a lot of the books today, which are almost really pornographic. In a variety of genres. So this is a little different than that. This is a very good book. Brian Black, I Googled all three authors. I checked my notes from the past. I don't have anything on these guys. I don't know who they are. Maybe you do. I know there's always experts out there who like to tell me this and that. So please, if you know something about any of the authors I mentioned here today, Max Day, Brian Black, and the one coming up, you can let me know in the comments politely, please, or else you'll be gone. So anyways, good book for you vintage collectors. One more. Let's talk about one more. These Beacon books were fun. This is also 1964. It's called Young Wife by Fern Burke. And the cover is just okay on it. This also has some semi-explicit descriptions in it. So be aware of that if that's not your type of thing. Again, this is a specific audience I'm talking to today, which is the vintage paperback collector that's familiar with man-bait paperbacks as a collector's item. Sorry, I dropped my note card. All right, Beacon 64. This is about Lynn Bakersfield and her husband, Sam. Sam's just a tad older than her. He's virile. He's a virile man, but he's having trouble connecting with her physically. So she's unsatisfied. So she cavorts out there with other men, and he cavorts with other women, day by day. What will it take to bring them together physically in a satisfying way? That's the gist of this book. It's really nothing spectacular. There are no great themes in this book. Blunt talk about virility, and as I mentioned, some explicit descriptions. They're explicit to a point. And this book has been around for a long time, too. I know a lot of collectors have all three of these books in their collections. Man-bait paperbacks remain a staple for the pulp fiction aftermarket. At conventions, you can find a lot of this stuff there. Interesting to read if you're a vintage paperback collector. And that's really what we're talking about today. Mysteries, man-bait, science fiction, westerns, you name it, the genre, the different genres, the subgenres of the paperback, the vintage paperback collections, vintage spinner rack, where you're looking at a spinner rack, you're spinning the rack. You remember those. They're still around here and there, and you come across this. Oh, that looks good. And blah, blah, blah. So we are what we are, and who we are when we are. All right. So that's just a little taste of vintage paperbacks I wanted to put out there for you. Keep it short and keep it sweet. And that's all I'm going to say on that. By the time this episode airs, I am over there, I'm over here, and I'm on the road. So I have filmed this in advance. I want you to stay well, stay happy, feed your brain, read a book, and I will see you soon with perhaps some very interesting things to show you. We'll see.